Howdy, howdy, howdy. I am finally back. That narcolepsy just wiped me out. I went oh, I think 3 hours earlier today on this, and boy, the narcolepsy hit, and I couldn't stay awake. There was just no way to do it. And yeah, that's not a good way to do a live stream, I tell you that. Anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm essentially studying to become an RBT. And I don't have an actual wish to become an RBT, and I'm probably not going to follow through with it. However, I am going to educate myself in everything that an RBT knows. And I'm going to go through multiple sources to get said training. And I am going to evaluate said training this entire time. Now, I've seen this Karen Chung gal before. I have not seen this video, so this is going to be a blind react, actually, to what we're to this video anyway. So I don't really know what she is going to say, but I can tell you what she isn't going to say. First of all, she's not going to mention the well-being of the child. Not going to mention the well-being of the autistic person. Not going to mention the autistic person's feelings. Not going to mention the autistic person's past history, trauma, or anything of that. She's not going to mention a autistic person's sensitivities. They use sensitivities in a very different way in ABA, and so if she does say sensitivities, she's not talking about that. She's talking about the environment specifically, not how your body reacts to said environment. So what this is going to be is all about the RBT, all about making children do what you tell them to. It's a power and control dynamic is what this RBT, or excuse me, ABA is a power and control dynamic, which is why it's so dangerous and why it does cause PTSD. So let's take a look at what she does have to say. But remember, this is not going to be from the point of view, or she's not going to express concern for the autistic person whatsoever. It's all going to be procedural. It's all going to be about what we're going to make that misbehaving kid do. So let's take a look and see if I'm right, because like I said, this is a totally blind react.
Hi everybody, welcome to Special Learning's Registered Behavior Technician Readiness Training. My name is Karen Chung, and I'm the CEO and founder of Special Learning. So,
well, I'm impressed.
My question is, why are you here? So you could be here for a lot of different reasons. We've had special learnings.
The reason I'm here is because ABA is harmful, and I want to know what exactly you are training RBTs to learn. I want to know your approach more than anything, your starting point. Are you starting from the point of you have a human being and you are concerned about their well-being, or are you going to approach it from this is a behavioral issue and we have to make them do something to change? And I bet you it's the latter.
RBT training has been out for the last 4 months or 5 months or something like that. And we've had a lot of different people that have gone through the course. We've had parents who've gone through the course, and their motivation was they wanted to become more involved in their child's programming. And they also wanted to be able to...
In their child's programming. And how we program a child. Just like they're okay, I don't care, Walmart. Walmart wants to give me drugs, but I don't care. Anyway, moving right along. Hopefully.
To be on peer with the behavior technicians or the BCBAs they might be working with, and so they could be a lot more knowledgeable and become more involved in the child's programming. We've also had a lot of special education teachers and paraprofessionals who've actually sought to become an RBT as well. And again, the motivation, the big driver behind all of this is gaining the knowledge, but also gaining the credibility that comes from having an officially recognized credential that's issued by the board, the behavior analyst certification.
And that is true. I want that special recognized
Board that
certification.
governs the field. So regardless of what your motivation is,
And the reason is that I really actually would like to get the RBT, but I'm not going to be able to because then I would have to go work for somebody and go through their training and all that stuff. And there is no way I'm going to be able to do that because I'm not going to be able to do ABA. I'm not going to torture kids just to learn how to
you're
torture
all here to
kids.
find out more about the RBT, the process of becoming an RBT, and the entire field in general. So we'll move forward. A little bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions, you can post them in the question box. We may actually decide to unmute you if we select your questions, so just be aware of that. If you don't want your question to be selected, or if you feel uncomfortable actually talking to us vocally.
Now remember what I said that she was not going to start with the health, wellness, and well-being of the child, the autistic person. She's never even going to mention that. She's not even going to address it. It's not going to be the farthest thing that is mentioned here.
Realizing your question, I'm sorry, then just let us know. If you experience any technical issues during the webinar, contact GoToWebinar by calling this number. They're great people, really responsive. They'll be able to help you out. If you have other issues, send us an email to support@special-learning.com. And a recorded version of this webinar will be available sometime next week, and you will receive a notification when it's available for viewing. Okay, a little bit about Special Learning. Who is Special Learning? Special Learning is a company that I founded in 2010. And over a period of time, our mission has held true. And our mission is to bring quality, applied behavior analysis to the 70 million people around the world.
It's not for the wellness and the well-being of children. It's not the well-being of autistics. Did you catch that? It's just to spread.
Okay, a little bit about Special Learning. Who is Special Learning? Special Learning is a company that I founded in 2010. And over a period of time, our mission has held true. And our mission is to bring quality, applied behavior analysis to the 70 million people around the world with autism. And the issue...
Ta-da! No, it's to bring draconian PTSD to autistic kids.
The problem that we're trying to solve is to help resolve the supply-demand imbalance. And what I mean by that is, we just mentioned there's approximately 70 million people in the world with autism. And the intervention, the autism intervention that's effective with people with autism is applied behavior analysis, or ABA, as you guys all know.
Now, you see how she presents ABA as the only solution. Period. She just dropped ABA as the only solution as if it was a given. And we know that's not true. Because
experts in the field. So the expert ABA practitioners are board certified. So they're board certified behavior analysts. Unfortunately, right now, as it stands, we have 20,000, which is less than 20,000 BCBAs in the world. And that includes all levels, BCBAs, board certified assistant, behavior analyst.
That there's so many people out there, and that's just the BCBAs and BCAB, both of them. That's the more highly trained people. Basically, they just get the big bucks, essentially, and they have two or three RBTs under them, or 5 or 10 or whatever it is. I don't know how many they're allowed to have under them at any given time.
And BCBA doctoral level, behavior analyst as well. So then, how do you begin to scratch the surface of solving that problem when there's such shortage of qualified practitioners trying to solve
they are not qualified for shit.
Needs of so many people? The way we decided to do that was through training and education. And we decided that our mission in life was to teach people how to properly implement ABA. So
exactly what I said. It's not about the wellness of and well-being of autistic children. It's about what we're going to make autistic kids do. That's what this is all about.
Even if you didn't have a qualified BCBA, or if you didn't have access to a BCBA, in the area that you live, whether it be in rural areas in the United States or in different countries, that as long as you understood how to properly implement ABA, then you, let's say you're a parent with a child with autism, living in
With autism, that disease autism, with autism. Notice that? That is no mistake.
Mongolia or something like that, that you would be able to have that power, to be able.
And you're there to, you're going to be able to have that power. Like I said, this is a power and control dynamic. ABA is.
To actually start your child on
I
some
mean,
kind of a program.
how is it? I've never seen this thing, and I know what she's going to say before she does.
So you're not losing out on all of these years where the child can actually be
That's how it
making
works.
gains and acquiring skills that he or she's going to need to lead a semi-independent life, which is obviously what we hope for is a complete independence. But you're not going to get that if you don't get the therapy that's needed. So that is what we decided to make our mission. So our business.
Bullshit. You can be independent without ABA. There have been millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of autistics throughout the years that have never had ABA that did perfectly fine.
Uh, It revolves around training. So we have training and education that we offer, a lot of different types of training, a lot of different levels.
See how this is focused on the training, on the trainers. On it's not focused on the child yet. They have not mentioned or even had the enough empathy. They haven't mentioned empathy. Nothing.
We have the level 1 and 2 ABA training program that we've had for a couple of years. We're just releasing our level 3 right now, the RBT training we're talking about here. And we also have training that is available for BCBAs for their continuing education credits as well. We also have supporting curriculum and teaching tools to go along with the training. We also offer virtual consultation services and virtual supervision services. So at the end of the day, kind of in a nutshell, special learning wants to be a place that people can go to be able to access quality ABA programming. So whether they do it through signing up.
Once again, you see how this is just laser focused on the trainers. It's not laser focused on the patient. In what world is any medical training, any medical anything not focused on the patient? I don't know how many classes I've had in the medical field, and all of them were focused on the patient and the patient's well-being, not the person providing the care, if you want to call it care. Oh, by the way, to give credit where credit is due, this is RBT
For
readiness,
our virtual supervision.
registered behavior technician readiness training by a channel called Special Learning. This is a very special channel too, evidently.
Consultation programs, or whether they do that just by teaching yourself how to implement ABA at various levels, or the curriculum that you need to develop and implement ABA protocols or programs, that you would be able to go to one place and be able to access what you needed to be able to develop the programming and run your program. So what is autism?
Okay, you know what?
Everybody.
Okay, this is the first thing I found in over 23 hours so far of doing this studying where they've actually defined autism, where they bothered to define autism. But let's see if they go into any kind of empathy for the child, or if they don't, which they won't. They won't show any empathy. They're just going to. This is the very best I've seen, and she's at least defining autism. But then she's going to move right along.
Everybody knows autism is a neurological disorder that affects the way a person processes information.
Now, this is very interesting that she mentioned it's a neurological disorder because that's the first time. But this is the weird thing. While she's acknowledging that it's a neurological disorder, she's going to treat it as a behavior problem. So even though she is knowledgeable of what's wrong, she's just going to ignore it. And then she's going to go straight into ABA and how to manipulate children. And because this is manipulation, this is brainwashing.
So what does that mean? That means that people with ASD learn differently and they just need more help. And, it always bothers me when people talk about people with autism, and that condition being really.
With autism, that condition. See, so first of all, she has the premise that it's a disease. So as a disease, she probably thinks it can be fixed or cured. And because she's been involved with ABA and seen ABA work, because it does change behaviors, she is convinced that it's the right thing. She's just ignoring the fact that it causes PTSD. I mean, that's just a little side effect. When a treatment does more harm than good, it's not a therapy at all.
Equated to mental retardation. That's not it at all. Obviously, there's a lot of comorbid conditions, and so X percentage of the people that are on the spectrum are going to have some medical issues, but for the most part, by and large, it's think of it as a learning disability. That's what I try to use, that analogy, to explain to people what autism is. It's just an individual with autism processes information differently. So if we know that they process information differently, then we need to figure out a different way to teach them so that what methodology that we're using,
okay.
the structure of the teaching that we're doing is actually resonating with them, and they're actually able to acquire the skills that they need by us modifying the way we teach them. Okay. Some of the main deficits with autism is language communication, social skills, behavior, and ABA is very effective.
Now remember, social skills and behavior, language communication, all of that is subjective, coming from a neurotypical person's point of view, not an autistic person's point of view. Now, when a allistic person, that is a person who's not autistic, marks off, well, this person's having language communication skill issues, or this person's having social skill issues, or this person's having behavior issues. I love how they throw in behavior here. However, if you were to put that same person or that same kid in with a whole bunch of autistics, it wouldn't be a behavior problem, social skills problem, or language communication problem at all. And we know this scientifically. We know this. It's when you mix the autistic person with the allistic person, the person who is not, it's when they perceive, when they have language communication issues, because they're the majority, 99% of the people in this world, because they have language difficulties, because they can't speak straight. In other words, they can't say what they mean and mean what they say. They lie when they talk. They are more concerned about being liked than the facts. They speak in sentences that convey meaning, inferred meaning, but they don't actually say what they are intending. In other words, the words have zero meaning. So this is their communication issue. I just want to get into that because she brought it up. This is their problem, not ours. And it's just, if the whole world was autistic, then the autistic people would be talking about these weird holistics that can't communicate, have horrible social skills, which they do, and behavior issues. So it's just a matter of perspective. And I'm not being hard on ABA here. I'm just being real. It's just a matter of perspective. We're in the minority, extremely.
In addressing behavioral issues. And, addressing behavior is absolutely necessary before you can teach new skills. So you have to have all of the negative behavior.
Okay, so right off the bat, instead of talking about the kids' needs or anything else, they are a behavior problem. The autistic kid is a management issue, and we're going to manage that little fucker
out of the way before you can start to teach some positive behaviors, replacement behaviors. Autism prevalence rates. Autism prevalence rates have skyrocketed. I think everybody knows that.
No, they have not. That is a complete, utter lie. The prevalence has not changed. The amount of how it's been. Why am I having to go through all this basic shit with this lady? Anyway, autism is diagnosed a lot more and is recognized more, but the prevalence is no more than it's ever been in our history. Ever. So she just has no fucking clue what she's talking about here. Which is
living
common with
underground if you
ABA
didn't know
therapists.
the prevalence of autism rates. And in 1995, in the United States, the prevalence rate was 1 in 500
It's
kids.
not the prevalence. It's the diagnostic rate. Call it the diagnostic rate, not prevalence rate.
Now, the most recent study that came out as Centers for Disease Control that came out last year, 2015, said that the prevalence rate has increased from that to 1 in 68 kids. And globally, about 1% of the world's population has autism spectrum disorder.
That's probably closer to at least 2%.
There are 7.4 billion people in the world, which kind of roughly gives us a figure of 74 million people in the world with autism. We talked about prevalence rates rising.
That we know of.
Just skyrocketing, no end in sight, and nobody really has any answers in terms of what's really causing it. So
yes, we do. It's getting fucking diagnosed, lady.
So we are not looking to find a cure. We have an intervention that we're trying to, get deployed throughout the world so that people, first of all, people know that the intervention exists.
This is ABA training. What they're training the RBTs, the kids that are the people that actually sit there for 8 hours a day with kids. This is what they're training them.
And second of all, that they know how to properly use the intervention so that we can treat people with autism, with the condition. In the United States, according to this research, 3.5 million people live with autism spectrum disorder. That number is much higher than I thought I was.
Live with autism spectrum disorder, that disease. See how they're framing this?
Actually going with a number of 1 million, but it's much higher than that. In the U.S., the prevalence rate of autism in children increased by 119.4%.
The prevalence did not increase. It was diagnosed more.
4% from 2000 to 2010. Autism is the fastest growing developmental disability. I think that we all understand.
It's not growing. It's the fastest getting diagnosed developmental disability in the United States right now.
The issues that we're dealing with. So what does it mean? That means that there are over 70 million people in the world with autism on the spectrum, ASD spectrum. There are over approximately 200 million caregivers who provide support, because when you think about it, if a person has autism, there are a number of different people who provide care to, or services to, education, whatever it is, to that individual, right? So you would have a parent or parent.
That is so vague. Like, provide support. It makes it sound like these 200 million people are dedicated to, these 70 million people, and these 200 million caregivers often give care, like doctors and so forth. They don't see just psychologists and so forth. OTs, PTs don't see only autistic people. So it's not like there's 20 million caregivers that are being taken away from other people that they can't treat or help other people. No, it's just that there are less than 20,000 ABA experts in the world. And I'll tell you this, out of that 20,000, not one of those fuckers is actually an expert. Because they're not autistic people. They're just bystanders that get a little bit of training.
Friends, typically, and you might have grandparents that are involved as well, siblings maybe.
So after they hear all this bullshit that this lady's spreading, and they go through the training, now they're with one of the 20,000 experts. This is like the 144,000 in the Christian religion, I swear.
You have teachers that are providing, treatment, education, services, whatever it is you want to call it. There might be other health professionals involved. Maybe the child is receiving speech services, occupational therapy, physical therapy, so on and so forth. And so the number of people that really should be educated on applied behavior analysis, if they wanted to provide support, direct support to an individual with autism, is much greater than 70 million. It's well over 200 million people. And what is applied behavior analysis? Well, applied behavior analysis is a discipline that's concerned with the application of behavioral science in real-world settings. So basically, the thing to take away is ABA is...
the thing to take away here is, it doesn't say applied behavioral analysis is for the the goodness and well-being of the autistic person. That is our primary goal. Nope. It's applied behavioral analysis is a discipline concerned with making children do what we say in the real world settings such as clinics, schools, industry, with the aim of providing socially important issues such as behavior, problems, and learning. That's how that sentence should read.
Based upon science. And so when we talk about ABA
Okay,
being
when
the
they say science based, when they say this is a when they say it's science based or it's evidence based, what they're saying is brainwashing works. That's literally what they're saying. This goes all the way back, actually, before the Crusades. But the Crusaders used the same behavioral science techniques on the Knights Templars when they were torturing them and eliciting confessions from them, using the same exact techniques. Oh, here's Ivar Lavas. He's a real freaking hero. She's going to quote him.
only evidence-based, methodology or the principal intervention, whatever you want to call it, that is what we're going back to. It is a science-based intervention. It's not a teaching methodology that somebody just thought of and decided, oh yeah, this is going to be effective. Let me try.
Because we know that torture works. We know damn good and well torture works. So yes, that's science-based.
That and see if it works. It's not like that at all. It's
based, we have proven it. We prove it all the damn time in this world.
Upon the principles of behavior, and it is absolutely it is grounded in science. Dr. Lovas is considered to be the grandfather of ABA. He developed the standardized teaching interventions and methodologies based upon scientific behavioral principles to be applied in real life, so hence applied behavior analysis. I love this quote.
So when the Soviets were right after the Cold War, well, at the beginning of the Cold War, they were interested in mind control experiments. Remember the radio waves where they were trying to put radio waves that would make Americans go crazy and fight each other and all that stuff? This is all that same stuff. Stalin, Lenin, they were very, very interested in this stuff because of its applications for torturing prisoners and eliciting information from prisoners, because it's the same thing.
He says, I'd like to be remembered as one who worked to free those minds who enslaved them, and as a person who challenged the notion that variables that we used to consider to be stable and unchanging, like IQ and autism, aren't really as unchanging as many had thought them to be. A lot of people, when you read the study, and when you go back to read about history of ABA, people have a really negative opinion of ABA because of the methods that were used when it was first being developed.
No. But I have a major problem with ABA because of what you're doing right now, right here. You have not mentioned the patient once. We're 11 minutes 15 seconds into this, and you have not mentioned